Hey everyone, it's the Knitting Professor. Today my topic is knitting around a busy schedule. Here's Exhibit A, this sock I've been working on. Now I like to keep at least a couple of socks going that are on the foot part. Personally, I do the entire shank with 3x1 ribbing. I've just gotten the habit of that because I like the way that they feel. I like that negative ease on there, but also the stretchiness. I use at the top the Jenny Stretchy Bind Off. But I do wear my socks. I need socks, and it makes sense to keep socks going. So I always try to have a couple started so I can just work on the stockinette stitch toe. Now I have reached the point where I can turn the heel without looking. I tend to make the toes at home. I do the Turkish cast on, and it's fiddly. I use wooden needles or bamboo at the top, but when I do the toe, because I want tight tension, with a tightly knit foot, I use metal needles because I literally am liable to bend them when I'm knitting the toe. So I always try to knit toes at home. I try to knit a couple so that then I've always got this opportunity to work on a foot, because this I can knit anywhere. I mean, it's just easy peasy, right? It's 7.5 inches on my foot. If it was somebody else, I might have a shorter or longer foot. You have to figure out, what length works. And it's not like I measured my foot, right? This was definitely trial and error to figure out 7.5. And then I turn the heel, and I've gotten to where I can do that. I use the Sweet Tomato Heel by Kat Bordy, and that was easy enough for me to master and memorize. And actually it took me a few times to get to that point. But you do 3 wedges. You might be able to see the construction here. There are 3 wedges. 1, 2, 3. Each is the same. You divide the foot into thirds. The top third you leave alone. The bottom 2 thirds you go back and forth. And it's kind of a alternative way of short row shaping. So I grabbed this foot that was like, it was probably up to here when I went on my band tour last week. So I was roped in by my university, where I'm like officially retired, but like not really, to play the French horn, the first horn part, because they only have one horn major. So there are 2 of us old ladies playing with him sandwiched in the middle. It's really cute. And in fact, he subscribed to me, so I was like, yay, that's really nice. He plays very well. And so we had like a 3-hour drive, and then we were driving around to get from various venues. We played at a bunch of high schools. And I got a lot of knitting done on all that driving. And I have another anecdote for you, because those of you who read my fiction, so I'm getting really close with book 2. I'm waiting for one more beta reader to help me with her reaction and see if she is willing to write me a blurb. So I'm hoping that I can get it out really soon. And in that book, there's a family from France, and they have an apple orchard, and they make calvados, which, especially if you're from Europe, or maybe New York or LA or something, you would know about this. It's sort of the Norman version of cognac. And when I read about it, and I, got the idea to have these characters that, in addition to the mother's yarn dyeing, then they make this calvados. I was like, man, I've got to taste it. And I wasn't able to, because I don't think it's available within, 200 miles of here. I did finally run across, I think those of you who followed me a little bit earlier on, that I ran across some calvados at a very nice restaurant in Stockholm. And it's pricey, right? So I only bought like half a jigger. It was so good. It was so good. So I, since that time, I've just had this this urge, to be able to write faithfully about this family that's making this cognac. I really need to drink it. I really need to know, quote unquote, what I'm talking about. And while we were in Sioux Falls, my friends took me to a really nice liquor store with just an incredible selection. I mean, incredible. And they literally had 6 different kinds of calvados, aged from 5 years going up to, I think, maybe 30 years. And so I wasn't going to buy the $350 bottle, but I did buy the young 5-year-old bottle of Cavados while I was there. And it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I'm going to just kind of savor that for a couple months, just kind of nurse it. Oh, it's just so good. So anyhow, that was one of the things I accomplished on band tour in Sioux Falls on our own time. Us old adults went to that store and picked up a little souvenir. And it was, you probably know more about this kind of thing than I do, because I'm not like an expensive wine drinker or anything like that. But that was the first time I ran across the bottle where the cork was encased in wax. And at first I looked at that, I was like, what is that? It's like some black hard substance. I mean, it was like coaly kind of rocky thing. And then I had to look up AI. It's like, what do I do? And all you have to do is heat it up, and then you can just kind of peel it off and expose this easy to pull cork out of there. But in any case, yeah, adventures, right? Adventures of an author. You go out on a limb, write about something that, is new and different, and then you have to kind of integrate it into your experience somehow. So I got a lot of knitting done on this sock. And here's some more lore about this sock, which is, unfortunately, it's the first of my pair. But, by the way, this yarn, I adore it. It's just such a great twist. I've been working on this for so long, I can't even remember what it's called, but that's what it looks like. It's just this gorgeous gold and sort of like the tarnished copper kind of thing. And I just love it. The twist is just perfect. But, so yesterday, another busy schedule kind of example. So I had my class. I'm taking a class on the anatomy of the eye and its implications for education of the visually impaired. So I did what we call a functional vision assessment on a volunteer, a guinea pig, a college student actually who's blind. And then I didn't know what was going to happen next. And I knew I was going to do like a tour of an optometry office. And so I was like, I better bring this along just in case. And again, it's just like another example of how I work in my knitting, because I'm so busy. I'm writing one novel, I'm editing another, I'm playing in band, I'm playing in orchestra, I'm doing YouTube videos, and I've got my dogs here, my son's home, they're working on my garage. I mean, it's chaos. It's like Stitches in Starlight, wool chaos all the time. So, things are just organized enough for me to figure out that I can work on something, somewhere, somehow. So I brought this, and I was glad I did, because after I finished the assessment of this young woman, I had like 20 minutes downtime. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some knitting. Got a little knitting in, and I was working on this ribbing up here. And then, got to the optometry office early, and I sat down and I knit another couple rows. Then I got back home before my writer's workshop on Zoom, and I knit a few more rows. And then when that was done, I knit a few more rows. And that's kind of like how my knitting goes. So I'm just really curious if that's your life, like you've got to knit, right? You don't want to not do it. I mean, we've already established it's kind of important. It's good for your health. It's good for your mind. It's good for so many things. It's good to work your hands. It's way better than doom scrolling on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Not that I don't, post my own videos that I hope other people are doom scrolling through on TikTok, but I don't want to be doing that all the time. I'd rather make stuff that I can actually wear, because guess what? I really need these babies. But I'll show you something else that I've made a lot of progress on. And again, it's a simple project. I really haven't got to the point where I can work on a sweater. I mean, I suppose theoretically I could work on a sweater when somebody else is driving, which was the case when we were going to Sioux Falls. But, it's hard to just like whip that out at the optometry office. I mean, when I'm working on a sweater, it takes up a lot of room. I got to kind of think about it. And of course, y'all know already about this project, this tube scarf. I mean, it grew significantly when I was in The Sound of Music. I'm not even sure how long it is now. I should measure it out. It looks like it's over 3 feet. So yeah, we can kind of get an idea how long this baby got. And I probably knit. So I put a stitch marker here to document where I had started. And I can tell before the musical started. So literally half of this was knit during the musical. That's a lot. And that was literally just during the rests. So, there I'm like, and I'm trying to hide it under my black t-shirt and stuff like this so that people won't get upset with me. And it worked out. Nobody had any kind of complaint. I really I should have a measuring tape here. I don't. But now I'm kind of curious, like, how close I'm getting. I usually do these 4 feet. Now this is a little bit wider, so I might do it 5 feet. We'll see. But yeah, I made a lot of progress during the musical. And the only time I knit on this, because this, again, it's all stockinette, right? It's just in the round. Only time I knit on it is when I'm doing something else that I can't really focus on, knitting a sweater or a colorwork hat or, something with like a lace stitch. So in any case, this one's come along good because of, it's like the busy schedule project. Do you have like specific busy schedule projects? That'd be interesting to kind of catalog if you're willing to share your busy schedule projects that you can work on at meetings or waiting at the doctor's or on the road, public transportation. We don't have that around here to speak of, but in fact, sometimes I wonder, the blind people at the School for the Blind, they rely on public transportation. They have to like literally make an appointment the day before to use what we call ride lines. Just crazy. But in any case, so here's another scarf project. It's getting pretty big. I measured it yesterday. It was 45 inches. And this is the one, some of you might recall, I was doing a paper about, sort of, what do you call it? Simulating blindness, which it's impossible to simulate blindness because you always know, oh, I'm not going to be blind in 2 hours. But for 2 hours, I wore sleep shades and I cast on this scarf. So it might look a little bit rough on the bottom. But I figured out I can cast on and knit a few rows in the scarf without looking. And what's interesting about that is usually when I do a 2x2 rib, it ends up being groups of 4, right? So 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls. Well, because I started this off and I couldn't see anything, I kind of added 2 knits at the end. And so it's, when I start the next row, I start on a purl instead of on a knit. So that's the one quirky thing about it. But actually, I kind of like the width. And I figured out that I can do it. It's fine. This is beautiful Portuguese wool. It's rustic. You can tell it's like the natural colors. And so it got like a little bit of gray in there. It's got veg matter in it, especially in the black. You can see it really clearly. But it's just gorgeous rustic wool. Looking forward to seeing how it blooms when I wash it that first time. It's a worsted weight. It's Retrosaria, I believe. And here I actually have the band. No, I'm wrong. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's Retrosaria and Baroa Rosa Pomor. I don't know. There's so many words on there in Portuguese. I know Retrosaria is the brand. There's probably like a colorway and a kind. There's a black and a white. And it's a 100% wool. The Serra da Estrela sheep. Maybe you can read that. I don't know. The Serra da Estrela sheep is the one that it is from. I love it. It's a Portuguese native breed. Wonderful wool. And literally, I've got 10 rows to knit on this. So I've just finished off this white. I've got 12 rows of each color. And all I have to do then is weave in all these ends, which will be easy. A lot of people hate weaving ends. I don't mind it at all. It's the same as knitting, right? It's just, it's relaxing. But in any case, so I mainly knit on this on the road during the band tour. And again, I probably added at least a third of what is on here during the trip. Maybe, I don't know, I might have knit a row or 2 in the hotel, but even in the hotel, I was so busy. We were doing stuff, being in the big city, right? Sioux Falls is a big city. For South Dakota standards, it's like, the Mecca. And it was fun. It was really fun. It was nice to get together with friends. But in any case, I was just, thinking today about this whole knitting with a busy schedule. And how I go about it, I'm just like desperate to knit, but I'm also desperate to get things done. So it's like you knit between the cracks. You just kind of figure out, well, what can I bring where, and what can I manage under what circumstances, right? So anything that's stockinette, easy peasy. Or if you got it memorized, I think I knit a lot of that heel actually in on the drive. And to be honest, I was kind of falling asleep. And since I have learned how to knit simple things with my eyes shut, sometimes I can actually be pretty relaxed while I'm knitting, because I can knit with my eyes closed, and it's still relaxing to knit, especially if I don't have to think about it. If it's just ribbing or garter stitch, stockinette, that kind of thing. So I can knit with my eyes shut, and I can even get more knitting in that way, because I can knit when I'm super tired, which is a lot, right? So yeah, I'd love to know your stories about your knitting between the cracks of your busy life. And of course, if you're retired, feel free to share about that and the luxury. I mean, I'm like, again, quote unquote retired, but I'm sort of a full-time writer now, and taking graduate courses because I'm going to start teaching in the program for the teachers of the visually impaired in spring. And I've got my work cut out for me to make sure I'm properly trained for all that. Still have one more class to take. So I'm definitely busy, and I wouldn't have it another way. But as long as I can still knit, I should be able to stay sane. So let us know your stories if you want to share anything. Hope you all have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk soon. Bye.